With him, I also invite Republic Media Network Senior Editor Mayuk Ranjan Ghosh to moderate the session. Welcome, Mayuk and Anil.
First of all, Anil, let me tell you that I'm a huge fan. I'm a 90s kid, so most of the audience here is 90s kids. Can we have a big round of applause for our icon, the 90s kids icon, Mr. Anil Kumble. And before we start, let me just show you a visual, a picture. 2002, India versus West Indies. A bowler with a broken jaw, bowling, creating one of the biggest and bravest moments of sporting history. What inspired you not to go home, have a surgery, and play? I mean, this is a limitless India moment for us in 90s. We have seen this limitless India moment. Just tell us, what inspired this moment? How did you create this moment?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's indeed a pleasure to be here at the Republic Plenary Session. I never thought of this as any brave move on my part. Yes, like you mentioned, I had to come back home to Bengaluru for a surgery. So my wife, who's sitting here, she had organized everything back home. So I was to come back and get my jaw fixed. But then I realized when I went back to the changing room that afternoon, when I knew that it was broken and then I was coming back home. When I went back to the changing room, we had, by the way, more than 500 runs on the board. And I was the only leg spinner. I was the only spinner in that playing 11. Of course, we had Sachin Tendulkar, who could bowl anything. And he was bowling leg breaks. And I saw sitting in the changing room just before tea. And I felt that I should go there and possibly pick up a couple of wickets to put the team in a good position. We were 1-1 leading into that test match. And there was another test match after that. So I felt that if we can win that test match, of course, I wouldn't have participated the following day. It was just that one session that I could go and possibly make an impact, pick up a few wickets, put the team in a good position, and that was the only thought. I've always gone onto the field when my shoulder was fine, so the shoulder was absolutely fine. There was nothing wrong with it. And it was just the jaw that was broken, more than anyone else.
Just the jaw.
Yeah, it was. So I knew that, no matter what happened on the cricket field, the surgeon will be able to take care of that. So that was the only thought process. Never ever felt that when I walked into play, what if something again hits me on the jaw or I get injured? Those thought, I don't think I ever even thought about any of those.
Anil, together we can. That's the mantra of a limitless India right now. How do you perceive this idea of limitless India? As Indians, we can do anything and everything in terms of sports, in terms of cinema, in terms of literature, education. How do you perceive that?
I think, we've seen that, in 75 years of our independence, I think we have done wonderful things. And just to reflect on sports itself, just to reflect on my own sport, which is cricket, we have come a long way. Today, we are consistently in finals. Yes, we have won a couple of tournaments, won World Cup recently in the T20. The last ODI World Cup, we were runners-up, and we are going to play again on Sunday. So in that sense, we've been sort of not just competing, but there. 1983 was a breakthrough moment for Indian cricket when India won the World Cup. But since then, I think we have moved really high up in the ranks as far as cricket is concerned. And in terms of infrastructure for cricket itself, if you take the sport, today you have international stadiums across India. It is not just restricted to the bigger cities, which it used to be probably about 20, 30 years ago. So now it's a lot more. There is a lot more players playing the sport with the IPL. There's a lot of players getting opportunities to play on a big stage. And not just the men's cricket. Women's cricket has evolved too, because when you talk about limitless India, it's not just about one section of the society. It's not just men, it's also women. How do you sort of become inclusive? How do you ensure that they come along and then do what, and make you proud? And women's cricket has certainly made India proud. Today, the Women's Premier League is happening, and that's something that's giving a lot of girls an opportunity to showcase their talent. And it also means that A lot of young girls are taking up the sport. And that's the beauty about cricket. Today, it's dominating in cricket, and other teams would want to beat India. It was not the other way around. It was always the other way around. When we sort of played, it was beating Australia was a big thing. Beating West Indies just prior to that was a big thing. And today, beating India is a big thing for the rest of the cricketing world. So that's the beauty about Limitless India. And when you talk about sport itself and how we have grown in sport, I strongly believe that when you want to become a sporting nation, when you want to create sport as a part of your livelihood, as a part of your lifestyle, it's important to create icons in sport. And today, we have icons in athletics, in Neeraj Chopra. We have Manu Bhaker in shooting. And they also had someone to look up to in Rajavardhan Rathore, then Abhinav Bindra, and Gagan Narang in shooting. So you had someone to look up to. Badminton has had superstars. I mean, with Prakash Padukone being the first one to win the All England Championship. After that, you had Gopi Chand. And then in women's badminton, you had Saina Nehwal, then now PV Sindhu. In tennis, Sania. So you have all these icons who then represent and give you that feel that when you're growing up or taking up the sport, you have someone to look up to, saying, you know what, if they can make it, even I can make it. I think that's the beauty about sport, and that's the beauty about the new India, because you have icons in every walk of life, not just in India. When you go outside of India, when you travel abroad and meet high-profile CEOs, and most of them are Indians. And that's the beauty about Limitless India. I think we have a great opportunity. The talent is there. It's just a matter of ensuring that we are all single-minded and determined in our approach, and things will, sky is the limit. I mean, that's all I can say.
Anil, I think you remember, in fact, most of us remember that moment. In 2009, you were playing for IPL, and at that point of time, you were actually playing gully cricket. You were actually playing local cricket just to make a point that, no, I have to keep my performance on, and complacency should not grab me or should not kill me. What will be your suggestion for this Limitless India audience? We are a generation who want instant success, we want instant growth, but time and again we get depressed, we get demotivated with sudden failures. What will be the suggestion for Anil Kumble, who has seen a lot of ups and downs in his career?
I think play a sport. That's the best part. When you play sport, at the end of the game, you have a result. Whether you win or lose, you have to again start from scratch the next day. And that's the beauty about sport. There's nothing called failure in sport. You only learn from, yes, a loss. In cricket, you lose a match. 2 days later, you again play a match. So we saw that. We saw that with New Zealand. They lost to India, and then 2 days later, they played South Africa. They've won, and now they are coming back again and playing India. So that's the beauty about sport. You lose one day, you learn from that, and then go on to the next stage. So I certainly believe that sport teaches a lot. It's a wonderful way to learn life lessons. It's a wonderful way to live your life, because when you play sport, you go through, like you mentioned, all the ups and downs in one's career. It's not always hunky-dory. You spoke about the 10-wicket haul. People know me because of that. I had a great day here in Delhi 26 years ago. But 4 days later, we traveled to Calcutta to play another match. It was a part of the Asian Test Championship against the same team, Pakistan, and I struggled to get 1 wicket. That's the beauty about cricket. You are up one day, and the next day you start all over again. So you learn to live with this, you learn to adapt, you learn to recognize the fact that in a career spanning 18 years, it takes a number of hits for you to actually succeed. So people talk about the 600 plus wickets, and they tell me that you're number one in India. All that is fine, but I had to bowl about 40,000 deliveries to get those 600. So which meant that more than 39,000 deliveries were didn't get me any success. So it's about being persistent. It's about being at it all the time, and then eventually things will work out. And that's the beauty about sport. And I feel even without you noticing anything, it automatically teaches you all this. So please, if you feel stressed, if you're feeling that what's happening here, just go and play a sport. You sweat it out, I think the stress goes away.
Do you think that more number of sportsmen coming out of India, this way India, with this limitless idea, can be the next superpower of sporting industry also?
Oh, absolutely. I certainly believe that's one of the reasons about 15 years ago we started something called Tenwick, where we are focusing, the entire focus is on grassroots sports, because at the end of it, champions come out from a larger base. When you provide a larger base, then automatically, the sport grows and the sport becomes even more competitive. And that's the beauty about cricket. We spoke about Limitless India. When you speak about Limitless India, it's about creating more number of people participate in active sport. And that's something that we are constantly trying to achieve. In school, make it a part of the curriculum. Even today, yes, the government of India has taken a strong hold on ensuring that sport is everyone's sort of right. They go and play the sport. But I feel that every child should take up sport at a young age. We are not saying that you need to become champions. You need to represent India and win gold medals. No, just participating in a sporting activity, making it a part of your culture, making it a part of your lifestyle, certainly helps in developing a nice way of managing your own life. Ups and downs, challenges, exam pressures, then the result pressures, all of that gets taken care. So grassroots sports is something I strongly believe if we focus on, then automatically your champions will come out of that. And like I mentioned some of the champion names in the sporting world, you will see a lot more happening if we focus entirely on the grassroots sports.
Anil, as a proud Indian, how important do you believe nationalism and strong sense of national pride are in building a limitless India? Because nationalism is right now what we feel is the need of the hour for every Indian, right now this audience sitting here. How important it is?
It's extremely important. I think, we should be proud of our roots. We should be proud of our culture. We should be proud about who we are as people. And I certainly believe when we go out and represent our country in cricket, when you, just now we heard Ricky Cage perform the national anthem. You just get goosebumps when the same national anthem is played in Australia when you're standing there just before a match, or for that matter in England, or for that matter in New Zealand, or whichever part of the world, when you're representing your country and you have the national anthem play, it gives you goosebumps. And that's the kind of pride that all of us should have. And the moments when you win a match and the whole crowd, I mean, you go to any world event now, especially in cricket, about 90% of the crowd will be Indians. So you'll only see a sea of blue everywhere when India plays anywhere outside of India. And that gives us a lot of pride. It gives us it's like a 12th player playing for you. Cricket is played only with 11 people. 11 cricketers play on the field. But you have a solid backing of a 12th player in the kind of representation that happens across the world. And the sense of belonging and the sense of feeling itself is immense. So I certainly believe that we are at a stage where each one of us look at contributing in whatever role that we are playing. That itself, I think you're contributing to the nation. That itself is nationalism. I mean, in my view, if you can do your role that you're assigned to with the utmost sincerity, the utmost dedication, the utmost commitment, then I think you're one step there. It's just about understanding and being proud of who we are and who the representations are from India, and really being proud of them. And that to me is a feeling that I received when I go and play cricket for India, or even now, when I travel, because of the popularity that cricket has in India, it's wonderful to sort of get that kind of adulation and the kind of respect that you get just because you're a cricketer from India. And now the respect is really, really fantastic to get when you travel outside of India.
And then last question. You have been to Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtha in 2024, and this year you have been to Mahakumbh. You were talking about the roots. How important it is to flaunt our Sanatan Dharma and our culture and not be ashamed of it.
I don't think we were ever ashamed of our roots. I don't think India has ever been ashamed of our roots. It's just that I feel it's just that some of the narratives, of course, we went through a colonization and then, of course, globalization. Because of all of that, the narratives change a little bit. But I don't think, all of us are really proud of our heritage. I'm a very spiritual person. My mother was a very spiritual person. My wife, who's sitting here, is very spiritual. And she knows, all the scriptures. And she breaks it down and makes it even simple for me to understand. And it's about what you believe in, and it's something that is inside you. And like I mentioned, if you continue to sort of lead a path or lead a life which you do your own roles and you sort of go ahead and perform those duties, and that to me is itself spiritual.
That's a motivating point to end this session. Thank you so much. Another round of applause for our 90s kids, the icon of 90s kids. Thank you so much, Anil. Thank you.
Thank you.